I joined police when there was very few people of ethnicity.
Right.
And through my years of service, I've been fortunate to be in a position where I've been able to become the first commissioned officer in police and the first Indian Superintendent. I'm grateful for those opportunities. If you know where the horizon is, you know what your North Star is, what your end goal is, then your journey is set. And whatever comes along it, good or bad, you can work your way through it.
Kia ora whānau, welcome back to another podcast. I have a lovely guest here, an amazing, I will call it role model for me. So let's have a corridor with him. Rakesh, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks, Julian. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you so much for having this time with us, to have this corridor with you. Rakesh, you've been inspiring person. I say that because when I arrived in the country 2018, and around 2018-19, then I started seeing you in a different events in the community. And then, I didn't know first you were police. Then I saw, oh, he is a policeman. But I saw, and then I follow your work and LinkedIn and all of that. You do a lot in our communities and within the police. So this conversation, Rakesh, what I'm interested to know about your journey. So before we deep dive into finding why police and stuff, I want to start with this. If I want to ask you this question, if you want to introduce yourself, how you would love to introduce yourself?
Well, my title in my professional life is based on my work in police. Mm-hmm. So yes, from that perspective, I look after our police ethnic strategy. I work for the New Zealand Police, and our role in that role is to make sure we build the capacity and capability to work with ethnic communities. So that's really, I guess, the formal side
Right.
of my life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as with anyone, where you come from, your history, your past, really is what shapes you.
Mm-hmm.
And that for me is far more important.
Right.
And far more relevant to you as a person.
Right. So starting there, because it's very important and you mentioned it, do you want to share with us your journey? Did you arrive to New Zealand or did you born in New Zealand? If you want to share that.
No, I was born in a town called Pietermaritzburg in South Africa.
Right.
And Pietermaritzburg is known for a few famous things. One of them was that Mahatma Gandhi was traveling on a train. He had a first-class ticket, and he was making his way through the town. And as the train was passing through, a conductor approached him and said, what are you doing in a first-class compartment? Because these compartments are only reserved for Europeans. Mm-hmm. And you're an Indian, you're non-European, so you shouldn't be sitting in this compartment.
Wow.
And he, to paraphrase him, he just shared that he's a lawyer, he had purchased a ticket, and he was here on business. And the conductor then assaulted him and threw him out on the platform in Pietermaritzburg. And he woke up, dusted himself off, and he then went on to begin his movement of nonviolence that ultimately led to the end of British rule back in India. So that humble beginnings began in a train platform
Right. Wow.
in Pietermaritzburg. The other is that Nelson Mandela was being pursued by the state police, and they were trying to locate him. And they eventually located him just outside of Pietermaritzburg at a place called Howick. It's now famously called the capture site of Nelson Mandela. But they contemplated actually killing Nelson Mandela when they had captured him. And luckily, they decided that they would make him stand trial, and he was then imprisoned for 27 odd years, and went on to then lead South Africa into a post-apartheid democratic country. So, that's the context of the city I grew up in.
Right.
But more importantly, from a personal perspective, Indians were taken to South Africa as indentured laborers back in the 1800s. After slavery was ended, a new form of slavery was ushered in, and that was really indentured laborers, where people were tied to contracts. And the indentured laborers were taken from India to many British colonies. So whether it was Fiji, whether it was the Caribbean, Africa, that's where they were indentured. So my forefathers really were indentured laborers that came from India to South Africa. So, their beginnings were very humble beginnings. No electricity, living in tin sheds, not having much in terms of finance, but their perseverance and them choosing to want a better life and striving for that. So, their sacrifices, their perseverance to provide for their families, for their community, and then broadly more for our society, something that really, really shapes where I've come from and how I approach my work, really.
Wow. What a beautiful sharing that. Thank you. And so you're coming from that city and to Aotearoa, New Zealand. So you born, what age you were like when you guys arrived to New Zealand?
Well, my story is in no way unique. It is unique to me, but it is something that many people can relate to, because it would be very similar stories to many migrants, many former refugees, many families that just choose to live and journey. I think people always are looking to do better and wanting the best for their families, for their community, for their country. So, my journey is very similar in that regard to many others. And I left South Africa when I was quite young.
Yeah.
Saved up some money, went to an island called Mauritius, which is just off the coast of South Africa, and then made my way up to India, wanting to explore more the roots of my culture. And I lived and traveled in India for a number of years, working for different non-profit organizations. More of a journey to find myself and understand myself. Then got offered a rollover in the United States, and I went and I lived and I worked there, which was a very, very educative experience. And I then came to New Zealand approximately 25 years ago.
Right.
And settled here.
Beautiful. So in New Zealand, did you start straight away join to become a policeman?
No, I actually came to New Zealand to work at that time. I was seeking a job in the Human Rights Commission.
Right.
By that time, it was called the Race Relations Office. And as fortuitously, or as fate would have it, it was undergoing a restructure or realignment when I arrived. It later became known as the Human Rights Commission. But during that time, as I came to New Zealand and that was occurring, it was post September the 11th, 2001. And I was shared, really, that the New Zealand police are looking for people with my experience.
Yeah.
And I then applied for police. And I had, I didn't have as much as knowledge as I have now, but I didn't know there was uniformed and non-uniform roles in police. So I went to a recruitment seminar, and they shared with me, well, if you become a New Zealand police officer, you'll need to do your running, do your fitness, do some tests, and we'll see whether you qualify. So I think I went for a seminar in July, and in November I was at the police college.
Beautiful, wow. That's amazing. So the journey of becoming police, but on what is inspiring me, see that you have coming from background that's full of knowledge from non-profit organization, working with communities, and see that you wanted also join the Human Rights Commission or Rights Relation at that time. Then when did you become police? The journey of police, how was that journey for you? And when you made that decisions, what you were thinking? Like you were probably like, so okay, I want to spend all my life in police. What was that decision that time? Like what was your why behind it? I want to join this organization.
I think, Mark Twain says you are born twice. One is the day you are born, and the second one is when you find out the purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we understand our purpose in life and we understand why we are here, these things are important, because then that takes you on your journey. It helps you. And if you don't know who you are, you don't know why you are here, you don't know what your goal of life is, these things can become very challenging questions, particularly when you are having difficult times. So if you know where the horizon is, you know what your North Star is, what your end goal is, then your journey is set. And whatever comes along it, good or bad, you can work your way through it. So for me, joining the police was really for the purpose of wanting to make sure that our communities could be served better, that we could help our communities, that things that are affecting our society can be resolved, or at least be addressed in a holistic way. Most people that join police would say that they join to make a difference. They want to make a difference in their community. And no matter which career you're in police, you're going to be making the difference. Either you're going to be making the difference for children in our investigative branch. You're going to be making a difference for women, for communities, for keeping our country safe through national security, helping people in complex fraud investigations. But you're going to be making a difference. Just the nature of the organization, the nature of the role. And keeping the organization focused and keeping the organization committed to those goals are the people within it. So for me, that journey of growing up, of living through apartheid, of seeing discrimination, but also seeing what the human spirit can do if given the opportunity. These things are that I found in police to be a vehicle and an organization that I could pursue that through. And I've been very fortunate, because through the roles that I've had, through the leadership that has been present, I've been able to pursue that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to think that we've been able to support and help our communities.
Right. Beautiful. And if I say, are you the first superintendent, if I correct pronounce it that rule, first Indian superintendent in Aotearoa? Is that correct? I don't know. Until now, I just know Rakesh. If you know any other one who was before.
I joined police when there was very few people of ethnicity.
Right.
And through my years of service,
Uh-huh.
I've been fortunate to be in a position where I've been able to become the first commissioned officer in police and the first Indian superintendent. I'm grateful for those opportunities, and I'm grateful for the organization to have supported that.
And I think we are proud as ethnic communities because we have such a knowledgeable, such amazing person sit on those tables and leadership to get understanding of our communities and how to help when police working with communities is very important, understanding cultures and traditions. So I want to ask you a question about, I see, because as I mentioned in the beginning, you're very active in our communities a lot. So now you're leading also big, let's say, the department of looking after our communities within police. So what made you, Rakesh, as a person to love working with ethnic communities, bringing our voices in the table while working with police? How you balance that? How you see that voice is important to understand ethnic communities while also making a decision within the police?
I mean, we have a representative democracy in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And for some of us that have come from countries where you have nepotism, where you have corruption, there's no respect for the rule of law, it's very challenging. And when you are brought up in that environment, and you look, you have this vision that actually I would love to live in a country where I have the rule of law respected, where I can vote and my vote can count, where I can feel safe, I can feel respected for who I am. And the values of New Zealand are really, really powerful. It really stands out globally for wanting to do the right thing. And, I'm very mindful that individuals like myself that have certain roles, with those roles comes huge responsibility.
Yeah.
So when you are in those positions of responsibility, it's important that you are able to bring the voice of community into those discussions, to be able to share quite diplomatically, but honestly, so that the position you have can convey what communities are feeling. Communities expect that of you. So, it doesn't mean that since you made it, you're in a particular role now, that you leave that behind.
Yeah.
Because these roles are very, very important, that we do not forget where we've come from, that we do not forget the concerns of our communities, the aspirations that they have. So, I spend a lot of time in our communities because it keeps you grounded.
Yeah.
And allows you to stay very connected to the conversation. Once you lose connection to what's happening at a grassroots level in our communities, you can't really convey around the table what's occurring. So for me, being actively within our communities is to listen, is to observe, is to hear what their opinions, their views, and then to express that as best as possible, so we can have services that are reflective of what our communities want.
Right.
So, our commissioner and police have a very strong focus on wanting to support our front line of policing. Because our front line of policing means that connection with our communities.
Yeah.
If we don't have the trust and confidence of our communities, we will not be able to do our jobs.
Yeah.
And when communities come from countries, come from experiences where they have negative perceptions of police, they have language barriers, they've experienced how police have treated them overseas. And when they come to New Zealand, we want to be able to engage and talk with them and share with them that things are different in New Zealand. And that we as an organization, as a service, want to make sure that they're able to, live lives that are prosperous, that are free from harm,
Right.
and they can make a positive contribution.
Amazing. And do you think that the police have built that trust between the ethnic communities and the organization, or how's that going?
I think it's ongoing. Trust takes years to build. It's not something that's done in a few seconds.
Yeah.
If you show a long-term commitment and you are physically present, you're consistent, you are open to your mistakes and your challenges that you have, you're transparent, these are principles that build trust. And trust is lost in a second or matter of seconds.
Yeah.
But trust is built over a long period of time.
That's right.
So that's the investment that police in particular know, that if you want to build trust, it takes a long time and you've got to be committed to it. So that commitment is there from us.
Yeah. Beautiful. And Rakesh, I see recently years there was a lot of ethnic police joining the organization. Can you tell me how important is that we have more police, more people from different ethnic communities serving in police? How important is for you, for the organization, and for the society at all?
Well, New Zealand has more than 230 different ethnicities speaking over 170 different languages.
Yeah.
And for a government agency, or government service, should I say, you want to be able to serve all your communities, not just some of them.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you need to have people that can speak different languages, that can understand different cultures, so that when there are major incidents, that you have a professional service that is able to deal with you. So if you go into the business world, business is very much catered that they want to serve their customers who walk in the door. So if the customers are speaking a different language, it makes sense that you will have people that can understand your customers.
Yeah.
So how more important it is to have a service that is provided by for the public that is able to do that. So it's hugely important for us, and we've invested a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of resources to make sure that New Zealand, and not some of New Zealand, but all of New Zealand,
Yeah.
can be served by a professional police service.
Right. That's beautiful. And while we're talking, I get into more things now. More thinking about what will be next for you. Now you are in a, let's say, leadership in the leadership positions. What will be next for you, Rakesh? Have you thought about that?
Yeah, for me, that service to our communities will always continue. It's not for me, it's not a next, it's an and.
Uh-huh.
Because there's always more to do for our communities.
Yeah.
For those of, for you, for others that work in the non-profit sector and the volunteer sector, you know that our service to our community never stops.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We would like the end state is we'd like a position where our communities don't need us, where our communities can actually not have issues affecting them, whether it's deaths on our roads, whether it's family harm, whether it's issues around hate, whether it's issues around alcohol, mental health. I mean, these are complex issues.
Yeah.
But we all have a contribution to make.
Right.
So for me, that contribution will always be there, whether it's in police, whether it's in our volunteer work, whether it's in our community work, because that service to our communities is something that's important to me.
Oh, amazing. Rakesh, you probably, what is probably, I think every day you get across a lot of complex of issues and challenging matters. How you balance that between your well-being when you, let's say, I don't know if you have end of the day for you because you guys may be on 24 hours into getting reports, so how does that work for you as a leader? You get a lot of things done, and then so basically how you manage your well-being between the work environments and also your personal life, and how you make that sure there is enough space for you as a leader as well. So how you do this?
There was a study that was recently completed by Harvard University, I think a longitudinal study, about 10 years at least, looking at the very issue you raised, and three things was highlighted. One is that, if you want to be happy, you got to look at firstly is your health. So you got to look after your health. You got to eat healthy, got to exercise. And the basics of being able to get out of bed in the morning, being able to go for a run or go for a walk, get the sun on your face, feel some grass on your feet, just eating properly.
Yeah.
And, no smoking, no drinking is always a positive.
Yeah.
So if you look after your health, that contributes to your mental health. And that supports you in a major way around depression, stress. Because that's something largely you can control. And I'm very mindful and respectful how challenging it can be when you are in a bad mental state, simply to get out of bed.
Yeah.
So sometimes just the simple acts of focusing on your health can be very, very powerful. The second thing is relationships. Is having good relationships. Is having the ability to pick up the phone and talk to some people that you can trust.
Yeah.
Where you actively engage in good relationships.
Yeah.
And by cultivating good relationships, caring for people around you, respecting them, those that are your loved ones, that is a powerful asset to have.
Absolutely.
And the third one is having a purpose. So you know what your purpose is.
Yeah.
So when you have those challenges and negative social media, or you have things that you're having to deal with that is quite stressful, you can always go back to, why am I here? Why am I doing this? What is the purpose I'm trying to achieve? Those things are bedded into you. They can really support you in a very, very significant way. So, for me, that comes on to those three things really captured that focus and being able to navigate them. But, when I look at family members and growing up and the history of where I come from, you know, stress for some families is actually not having food to eat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not being able to have, shoes to wear, to be able to just deal with the complexities of life in that situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
my stress is waking up just so that, I've got to sit in some traffic, or I've got to deal with some personalities, or go into some meetings and try to convey some things. It's contextualizing how fortunate we are to have that privilege, first of all, where others don't have those things, or may not have the opportunities that I'm able to enjoy. So keeping it real.
That's right.
And keeping it in context really helps to navigate those situations. Things would always be far worse.
Yeah.
Things would always be far worse. So when I look at, New Zealand, we're the third most peaceful country globally.
Yeah.
We are one of the least corrupt countries. We're not perfect, but, we are far, far better
absolutely.
than many, many other countries.
Absolutely.
When I go on a holiday, I go back to certain countries, they don't have a good electricity supply, right? Lights don't work, power doesn't work certain times of the day. Can't drink water from the tap.
Yeah.
I mean, I turn on the tap here.
Yeah.
I drink water. But just those simple things, to be able to drink water, to be able to have electricity, what to speak of the bigger things in life, to be able to go down to here in Wellington, the Wellington City Mission, being able to get a hot plate of food.
Yeah.
Those things are important to be reminded of, that we have a functioning government, a functioning democracy.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That keeps me centered to make sure that the bigger issues which we have, that we can put our energy and commitment into that.
Yeah. Beautiful. I align very well, because especially the point of stress that you mentioned, there's a lot of stress that we places come from a war. I mean, simple stress could be like, will I have enough sleep without hearing the bombs or the craziness happen in a certain part of the world? So sleeping peacefully, like that, tomorrow there's a better future. There's a future you're building in a country that people will not value this unless you know what it's meaning when you don't have that environment. That I'm sure I will wake up tomorrow, have a better future for me, for the next generation or kids coming up. So this is really good to see from a leader like you, what keep you going in all this beautiful corridor. I'm aware of time, we are running out of time, but I have one more question for you. Well, actually two. We'll see how we quick can do this one. One will be like, what keep you going? And after that, I want to ask you about what will be your message for our young people. Maybe let's what keep you going, Rakesh?
My why keeps me going. And when I look at our community and I look at how much of opportunity there is, the wonderful, bright people that are in our community, intelligent, how they can shape our country, shape our communities. They should be really proud that they've journeyed so far in life, really. The contribution, the immense potential that sits there. So whenever I go out and I engage with our communities, I'm very humbled. I'm very humbled at what I see. And when I look at the people I work with in the public service in New Zealand, in our organization, New Zealand Police, I sit next to people, I work with people that are just the most amazing people. I mean, they're dealing with complex investigations, they're dealing with really tricky situations, but they they come to work, they're really professional, they're very respectful. And those things are very inspiring, very humbling when you sit next to and you're in the presence of such people. To think what a great country we have.
Yeah.
So those are the things that keeps me going. It always makes me feel, I can do better, keeps me grounded. And that's hugely, hugely important.
Beautiful, amazing. And I see also I'm witness, like, see you when you be around different communities, their events. That's a huge support. How amazing that you're for them, you're available, like when people reach out to you. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you, Mahi, doing, Rakesh. So last one I have, what would be your message for young people maybe who are thinking to join police, or any message you want to share with us, with the audience who listening and watching this podcast?
There's nothing that you cannot do in New Zealand. The world's your oyster. If anybody tells you can't do it, they're wrong. I sit across from you, Kudrian, look at your team that's here. How magnificent to see all our young people being so successful. So all I would encourage them is that they should bring that success to us in police, that they have a perfect vehicle to make all their dreams and aspirations come true, to make our country a better place, that it is the perfect organization for them to invest themselves in.
Right.
And, if they choose that, well, maybe always share with our young people is that to join the police, you got to run.
Yeah.
So you got to be fit. We do our own English and psychometric testing. We're not asking you to go and get a PhD and go and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can be a truck driver. You can be somebody straight out of school. You can be a taxi driver. You can be a pilot. You can be a lawyer. You can be a dentist. You can be unemployed. The police are there because we represent everything about New Zealand.
Right.
What we represent is the best of New Zealand, because we're coming from all different backgrounds. So
Join
no matter
police.
who you are as a young person, no matter what your background is, the New Zealand Police can provide that. And if you think that, well, maybe not police, then I would encourage you to enter into the public service of New Zealand and be that difference in that area that you think that's important.
Beautiful.
The service of our nation, the service of our communities, and the business world as well, journalism. After police, everything can be done.
I see. Yeah.
But roles like the police, where you get in by your perseverance, by your sheer will and your sheer determination,
Yeah.
that for me is very, very powerful.
Beautiful. Great message. Thank you for that, Rakesh. And now, in this season, we have a tradition, which is previous guest. You may not know, only if you go watch back our YouTube, have left a question for the guest, and then you will also have an opportunity to write a question for the future guest coming to the show. So let's see what question we have here for you. Right, so here's the question that previous guests have led to you. How do you serve your community? What a question. We were just talking about the service here today, and how you will answer this.
Well, by making sure that their dreams, their aspirations, and their voice is conveyed within our organization. And the role that I have, it's important that our community's voice, dreams, hopes are conveyed and expressed.
Beautiful.
That's how I serve them in that capacity, and I also serve them by being visible, present, and accountable as well.
Absolutely. Amazing. Thank you so much, Rakesh. I enjoyed this corridor with you today. It was quick, but again, I think we passed the time, but I want really, I think if we talk about a lot of journey, stories, challenge things, there's a lot of knowledge there. There's a lot of wisdom there. I appreciate your time. Appreciate giving us this time to have this conversation with you. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much. Pleasure being here with you.
Thank you. Okay, team, hope you guys enjoyed, and we will watch. Also, if you enjoy, please share the podcast and comment if you have any questions, and see you next one. Ka kite.